designing the makeup for Woolf Works, the Wayne McGregor ballet piece inspired by the works of Virginia Woolf, was a challenge, but it wasn't an insurmountable challenge. I had a previous history working with Wayne McGregor. One time it was on a project with Gareth Pugh and another ballet called Dyad that was at Sadler's Wells that was inspired by Diaghilev. This time it was a story of Virginia Woolf told in 3 acts that had different requirements makeup-wise. So it was really interesting to figure out these 3 separate worlds, really. The first act was more reality-based in the 19th century. It depicted Virginia Woolf. Alessandra Farah was a dancer that was playing Woolf, and so we did a beautiful natural makeup that would read from the stage, but nothing avant-garde in that first act. The second act was a tribute to Woolf's novel Orlando, and we actually tried a couple of different approaches to that. First approach was almost Bauhaus-like, a little bit of a cross between Elizabeth I and the new wave singer Klaus Nomi, which was quite severe and beautiful. It went well with the costumes, but Wayne felt that the headdresses resembled when they depict animals in ballet, they looked a little ear-like. So, you know, quite near the end, we changed gears, and I sort of took a pre-Raphaelite androgyny as more of an inspiration. There was actually, I remembered in a David Bowie movie, concert movie, that there was a Bowie fan waiting to go into the concert, and she had little bits of tinsel on her eyes and not very much makeup. And I loved the purity of that and the angelic androgyny of it. And so I kind of took that as my inspiration. And it was interesting to see from the audience in a dress rehearsal how these little strips of gold caught the light in almost a spiderweb, gossamer-like way, which would be different if you had used something like glitter, for instance. You know? So, and then the third act was really about the emotional disintegration of Virginia Woolf and her suicide note, and it was like waves of a sea, and I just thought of these kind of branch-like shapes of kind of like a cracking or almost like seaweed or driftwood, or this sort of something that would be just floating in a stormy sea. And I created these a makeup that had those shapes, but also a veil that went over, and pieces on the veil that mirrored the makeup, so almost like a double exposure, almost like a Man Ray or a Cocteau effect. And the pieces also went on the back of the head, so when the dancers turned around, you still got a complete view of this feeling. So it was very interesting to tell this story visually through makeup, that I was getting the feeling from the choreography and the lighting and the costumes. So it was wonderful to be somebody who could just sort of add a touch to tie everything together. I mean, I guess they had to have some makeup on me. Maybe they didn't, but they did in this case.